So we are talking about the simulation suite for mesoscopic and microscopic traffic simulation. Of course, the microscopic traffic simulation is SUMO, while the mesoscopic simulation we used two packages. So we looked at two scenarios of two packages. One is the MATSim. Who knows MATSim? Okay, quite a couple of you. And the other package is something very similar. It's also a mesoscopic package. It's called BEAM CORE, and that has been developed by the Lawrence Berkeley Labs in San Francisco. And so let's start. So just the two packages. They go along with the demand generation. So there has been different packages to generate the demand, to generate the activity. And for one scenario for Munich, for Greater Munich, so it's Munich and the suburbs around. And the other scenario is for San Francisco Bay Area. And the San Francisco Bay Area has been done by BEAM CORE, and the other for Munich by MATSim. Okay, so we can,
perfect. First of all, let's have a more general look on our traffic models. So we have on one side, as Jörg already said, we have the mesoscopic models, and on the right side, the microscopic. The advantage of our mesoscopic models is that we have quite a very high computational speed, which enables those models to simulate quite very large areas, and they are sufficiently precise to model the infrastructure. As well, the network is fairly easy compared to microscopic traffic simulations to create. Nevertheless, it also has some disadvantages. We are not able to derive speed profiles. We are not able to realistically simulate the interaction between vehicles to vehicles and vehicle to person. We do not have any traffic breakdowns, and we have the difficulty of estimating the road capacity. Jörg will later come to this topic. On the right side, we have our microscopic traffic models. The advantage is that we have a precise representation of reality. We try to model the infrastructure, the vehicles, the persons, and also our traffic lights. We are able to simulate the interaction between the vehicles and the persons, and thereby derive our speed profiles. And we have got a lane model inside, so we realistically simulate our infrastructure. Nevertheless, the disadvantages of our microscopic traffic model is that we have quite a high computational burden, and we have quite high efforts to create the network as well as the demand. Now, the idea to combine both advantages seems quite very logical. This is actually what we did. So our general approach is that we have got a huge mesoscopic network which simulates the whole area, and we've got a partial microscopic network, and we combine those two simulations. Well, the idea of combining two good things to get rid of all the disadvantages is not new in literature. There are some approaches already existing inside the literature. Nevertheless, we did not find, to the best of our knowledge, any platform which enables both simulations to run.
Yeah, just some theoretical disadvantages or advantages of mesoscopic models. As Fabian said, the speed is probably the main advantage of the mesoscopic modeling, and this is due to two facts. One is it's an event-based queue. So what you see here is a link actually, and so each link is a queue, and if new vehicles enter a link, then it's kind of directly transferred from the entrance to the end of the queue. with one step, because the speed here is assumed to be constant. And so the vehicle knows exactly at what time it is at the end of the queue. So it's a time-based event, so it knows when to do the next step. And yeah, and then there is another event-based action, and this is the service rate. And the service rate is taking at a fixed average rate a vehicle out of the queue and putting it to the next downstream edge. And this service rate can be, as I said, is fixed at the capacity limit. So it's the capacity limit is kind of predefined or pre-estimated, and is defining the service rate. And and this constellation is very fast to simulate, because we don't have really time steps. We have this event-based simulation, and we can even parallelize it, even though it's not really done yet in MATSim. But there is potential. And yeah, and the other fact is that the demand can be scaled down. So there is a tricky thing, is just that we can do the following. We can decrease the demand by a factor X, and we also scale down the capacity by a factor X. And then we have to do whatever, 1/10 of the demand, for example, which is computationally even more advantageous. Yeah, one of the main disadvantages, in my opinion, is somewhat a bit hidden, and this is the mesoscopic simulation. Apart from the disadvantages that it doesn't have the vehicle-to-vehicle interaction, no sublanes, no lane model, and so on, is that it doesn't really properly model traffic jam breakdown. So if you hear of the fundamental traffic diagram, it only models the stable part. In other words, if the traffic flow here is increasing, it models the traffic flow up to a certain point, up to the capacity limit, and then the model here stays here, no matter how many vehicles come in. And while the SUMO model, as probably everybody of you knows, has traffic breakdowns, and then the vehicles kind of stop to a close to zero flow. And this is what happens very often in cities, in congested cities. And if this is not modeled, then of course the model is somehow limited in its realism. Okay, so the microsimulation is the one that models this part. And so we have a chance to create a demand with a fast model, and then with a SUMO simulation we can model also this kind of phenomena. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So now the idea, or in a nutshell, is that we have the large-scale mesoscopic simulation, which we use for calculating the traffic assignment, and then in a second step, so we have a sequential platform, our microscopic simulation, wherein we partially do this microsimulation. The key now is how to transfer actually the demand from the mesoscopic to the microscopic level. Therefore, we have developed within this publication 2 approaches. It's first the trip-based approach, and second our synthetic population-based approach. And the uniqueness of our approach is that the whole process is now combined inside our HybridPy environment, and you have a graphical user interface which easily allows you to run both types of simulation and also to transfer the demand in between.
Which will soon be available in the main repository of SUMO. And it will replace the SUMOPy package, so the SUMOPy will disappear and HybridPy will appear. So that's the main GUI where you have on the left side a browser, a data browser. You can click on edges and you see the properties. You can also have tables. And this here, what you see here is the table of the MATSim edges. So you have the link ID, you have the from node, to node. These are the MATSim nodes. You have the length, maximum speed, and actually here there's a column you don't see. That's the capacity. And so the capacity is an attribute actually of the link, which is kind of strange to SUMO. How does a MATSim file look like? And by the way, BEAM CORE can produce the same kind of output. So this is an example activity. Drinking beer and going to bed in MATSim is expressed in this kind of XML file. So the activity type is social, and this is the location in the simulation network coordinates, and it has a start time and an end time. Oh, it's drinking a beer only in 5 minutes. Oh, good. All right, and then there's the next leg is a car, and he drives then with the car home and goes to sleep. Okay, so that's the next activity is home, right? So it's home. It's very similar to the SUMO plans in the root definition, where you have the activities of single persons, and instead of the legs you have the stages. Okay, so with this information we kind of imported into the SUMO network, or in the SUMO scenario. And there are, as Fabian said, there are two kind of types. The one is the external demand. That means this is a vehicle that goes from anywhere in the MATSim network or in the Mesoscopic network to any other place in the Mesoscopic network, and is kind of either crossing the microscopic network, or at least coming or going to some place in the microscopic network. So either destination, either origin, destination, or both are outside the microscopic network. And in this case, from the information that you have just seen, from this information, a route is created, and the vehicle, according to the mode, a vehicle is created, and and the route itself is created in such a way that the route from MATSim is matched to a fringe point or a fringe node, and then the internal route in the microsimulation network is created with our own routing. So we just take the entry point and the exit point from the MATSim file, from the MATSim plan file, and the routing is done by SUMO or SUMOPy. Okay, so this is the way the external traffic is handled, and for the internal traffic, so these are mesoscopic trips that are within the microscopic area. In this case, we create a synthetic population where we also take into account the buildings or the facilities. And so we, because we have the coordinate of the single activities, we can associate buildings to these coordinates, and we let the guy drive from one building or from a microscopic edge associated with the building, with the entrance of the building, to another edge which is associated with the building of the successive activity. So in this way we can create from the MATSim plan file both the synthetic population and also the activities of this population. So within, for all trips within the microscopic network, we have a proper multimodal trips with a synthetic population and practically door-to-door trips. Okay, so now Fabian is presenting the two case studies of Munich and San Francisco Bay Area, where we did the first simulations, and so it's work in progress. But yeah.
Yes. So yeah. First of all, let's say have a short look at the number of agents inside the mesoscopic simulation. Inside our Munich scenario, we have 4.4 million agents. Inside the San Francisco scenario, the right one, we have 7 million agents. In the mesoscopic simulation itself, we are running a 30% demand, so only 1/3 is put inside the simulation. Our street network for Munich has around 76,000 kilometers. For the San Francisco network, it's around 46,000 kilometers. The mesoscopic simulation in Munich is quite small. It has around 400 kilometers. It's Munich Schwabing, and in the Bay Area it has around 3,400 kilometers. Yeah.
So this refers to San Francisco City, while the 46,000 is the whole Bay Area, just to get the dimensions.
And now if we have a look at the real to sim time gaps, we see that our mesoscopic simulation for the Munich case study runs at around 36 times faster than real time, and on the microscopic level it's around 3 times. For our BEAM scenario, we have 6 times in mesoscopic and 2.4 times in microscopic. When you want to compare the numbers from the left and the right, we need to take into account for the MATSim scenario, we only do a car-only scenario, meaning we are only routing the cars and simulating the cars. All other modes of transport are teleported. Well, for the BEAM scenario, we do simulate quite more modes of transport and even take into account car sharing and are simulating this. Yeah. Here are, let's say, the raw numbers behind the short summary. We have a total execution time for our Munich scenario of 19 hours. We are simulating 50 iterations for reaching the user equilibrium. For the San Francisco Bay Area, we are having an execution time of 24 hours, and we need 6 iterations for reaching the user equilibrium. Coming to the microscopic level, so we are simulating only a 6-hour simulation run. In our Schwabing scenario, we have a simulation time of 4 hours. We're only able to transfer 80% of the demand. For our Munich scenario, we are using the trip-based approach only, and for the San Francisco scenario, we have a simulation time of 10 hours, and there we used an 80% synthetic population inside. Now to sum everything up, so today we presented HybridPy as a simulation platform for combining the mesoscopic and microscopic simulation. We have proven the feasibility of combining those two simulations, and we have also had a look at scenarios wherein we were not able to simulate it on a microscopic level in total. Now coming to the future work, we have already implemented the use of the routes of the MATSim scenario, so we really do respect the user equilibrium and are resimulating the user equilibrium. We are currently doing validation work for Munich for having the traffic counts as well as the edge travel times and compare it on both levels. And we also have a feedback loop for the simulated edge travel times on the microscopic level back to the mesoscopic level. Yeah, so now thank you very much for listening, and we're looking forward for your questions.